Boker Tov. So we have less than 15 minutes and we have to get through this Amud. So we're going to see how we'll do it. Maybe we'll break up the Amud. We'll do the first half now and then we'll do part of it later. But let's just get started. Let's jump in. So we had the Mishnah. In the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Amud Bet. Right now we're doing Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. In the Mishnah on Lamed Amud Bet, we said that somebody who is a tzara, she's a safek tzarat erva, which means she is married to Reuven, and Reuven is safek whether or not he did kiddushin, or safek whether or not he did girushin to the erva, and then he dies. So she's choletzev lo mityavemet. The case of safek kiddushin, we said, is he threw the kiddushin to the erva, safek karov lo, safek karov la. We did not say that case by gerushin. The question is why. So first we had Rabba. Rabba tried to give it a whole explanation based off chazakas. Abaye disproved it. Abaye was not happy with it. So Abaye has to answer the question, why do we not mention Safek Karov Lo, Safek Karov La by Gerushin as Safek Gerushin? So Ela Amar Abaye, Yagid Alav Reo. Abaye says, no, actually it is included. Yagid Alav Reo, one case tells us about the other. Tana Bekidushin, Ve'uadin La Gerushin. What we say in the Mishnah by Kiddushin applies to Gerushin also. So Safek Karov Lo, Safek Karov La applies to Gerushin. And Tana begerushin v'huadin lekiddushin, and also whatever is taught by gerushin is included in kiddushin. So Amar le Rava. So Rava, he said to Abaye, here you go. Rava, he said to Abaye, I yagid alav reo. If what you're telling me is true, that Yagid alav reo, that one case tells us about the other, so it doesn't really make sense, because it says zehu. It says this is the case of safek kiddushin. It sounds like this, and it's excluding something. Should be there, very beginning.
It's Lamed. Lamed.
Oh no, this is here for Lamed Aleph. It's here. It's there. So Ella Amar Rava. So Rava comes and gives a little bit of a different explanation. Why is it that Gerushin we don't say Safek Karov Lo, Safek Karov La? So he says a little bit like Abaye, but a little bit different. Okay? Ella Amar Rava. Kol sheyesh bekiddushin yesh begerushin. Everything that it's listed by Kiddushin applies to Gerushin also. So when it says Safek Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. So where it says Safek Karov Lo, Safek Karov La by Kiddushin, that's true by Gerushin also. V'yesh begerushin ma she'en bekiddushin. But there are cases that are written by Gerushin that do not apply to Kiddushin. So when it says Zehu Safek Kiddushin, it's coming to exclude some of the cases that are listed by Safek Gerushin that are not included in Safek Kiddushin. V'zehu de gerushin, and when it says at the end these cases of gerushin and zehu safek gerushin, lav dafka, it's lav dafka because it's including the case of safek kiddushin as well. Ela mishum detana zehu bekiddushin, tananami zehu begerushin. Since it says zehu by kiddushin, it says zehu by gerushin also. Zehu de kiddushin lemute mai. Okay, so we said safek kiddushin is he throws the kiddushin. It's a safek whether it went into the territory of the lady who's an erva to his brother, or it didn't go into her territory. Safek karov lo, safek karov la. So we said zehu. That's the case of safek kiddushin. Now, what's it coming to exclude? That is a case of safek gerushin. That's not a case of safek kiddushin. So lemiute mai zman. It's coming to exclude a case where there is no zman on the shtar. That by gerushin we said that's a safek gerushin. By kiddushin we didn't say that's safek kiddushin. Deleka be kiddushin, because you don't have any zman necessary when you're writing a shtar kiddushin. Now why? Right? How come you don't have zman on kiddushin? When someone wants to be mekadesh a lady with a shtar, again, we're not talking about a ketubah. We're talking about if somebody wants to be mekadesh a lady with a shtar, how come you don't need to write the time on it? So we know that you have to write the time and the date for the date, not really the time.
Why you have to write the time? It's not a get.
So 1 second. The question is why not? How come by a get you have to write the date and by kiddushin you don't have to write the date? Why not? So we have to learn what's the reason that even by get you have to write the date. So it makes sense that there should be a difference between kiddushin and gerushin if you say the reason that they instituted. Meaning there's two reasons. Machloket, I think it's Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan and Gittin, why you write the date on a get. One opinion says mishum pere, because the husband has the rights. If his wife brought in a field, so he has the rights to the fruits of the field. If that field is nechsei miluk, he has the rights to the fruits of the field. And when he gives her a get, he doesn't have the rights to the whatever those fruits produce, the what's produced by her what she owns anymore. He doesn't have the right to it anymore. So we specifically need to know when he does not have the right to those perot anymore. So that's true by a get. But arusa let la pere, but by kiddushin, after kiddushin, he doesn't have a right to her fruits. That's only after ktuba chuppah. That's at a later stage. That's not after kiddushin.
He doesn't
So
own the lady yet.
right, those kinyanim didn't come yet. Correct. Ella lemadar mishum bat achoto, but according to the opinion that says, what's the reason that we require a time written on the get? Because shema yichapel bat achoto. What are we worried about? We're worried that perhaps the man who's married, he's married to somebody who's his relative. He's married to his niece or something like that, and let's say she's mizaneh, and there's witnesses that see that she was mizaneh. So, at the end of the day, it's his relative. He doesn't want her to get in trouble. So he's going to write up a get for her and give her the get, and he's going to say, she already was divorced. She doesn't get punished. So because of that, they require a zman on the get so that they can the get will not be kosher, will not be accepted without a zman, so that they'll know exactly when the znut happened, whether it happened before she was married or after she was married. So according to that, litkin zman, you should also have zman by kiddushin, because you want to know if there's any znut. We want to know if it happened before the kiddushin or after the kiddushin. So the Gemara says no. Mishum diika de mekadesh bekas, but vika de mekadesh beshtara. Shtar is not the only way to do kiddushin. You have people that are mikadesh with kesef, and you have people that are mikadesh with shtar. So since it's not the main way to be mikadesh, since it's not the only way to be mikadesh the lady, so lo takun Rabbanan zman. Rabbanan did not institute that you have to write the zman. By a get, that's the only way to do it, and we need to know when the znut happened, so Rabbanan instituted you have to put a zman. So if she's mizaneh, we know whether it happened before or after. But by kiddushin, that's not the only way, so Rabbanan didn't feel it necessary to institute zman. So Amar le Rav Acha bereder Rav Yosef le Rav Ashe, Rav Acha bereder Rav Yosef said to Rav Ashe, va'avda diika dekani bekas b'vika dekani b'shtara v'takun Rabbanan zman. By an evet, Machlok at Rashi Tosfot how to learn this Gemara. The way Tosfot learns, we're talking about giving a shtar to an evet to free an evet. So that the Eved could free himself with money, meaning he could bail himself out, he could buy himself out, or he could free himself with a shtar. So it's kind of like kiddushin. It could be done with money or with a shtar, and still we require a zman. There's a necessity for a zman to be written. So by kiddushin also there should be a zman being written. So the Gemara says no. That's different. Hatam ruba v'shtara. Over there, the main way, most people, when they're dealing with an eved, they do it with a shtar. That's the main way that people deal with avadim. Hacha ruba v'kasva. By kiddushin, most people use kesef. Shtar is just a minimal secondary way, but generally, most people use kesef for kiddushin. They don't use shtar. Therefore, Chachamim didn't feel it necessary to put the date in a shtar.
No kesef, no shtar.
This says we do kesef, no shtar. Kesef is a ring. We use kesef is anything that has value. Shaveh kesef. It doesn't have to be actual money. It could be anything that has a value. V'baitema mishum delo afshar. Or another reason why we don't have zman by kiddushin is because it's not even going to help. Right? What's he gonna do? If he leaves the kiddushin by the lady, so machagale, she could just cross out the time and cross out the date. She could scratch it off, and they won't know when she was mikudeshet, and she won't be in trouble. If he leaves the kiddushin by himself, zimnin debat achotohi umchape aleh. Sometimes, she's gonna be his relative, and she was mizaneh really when they were married, and he's gonna also want to cover up for her, so he'll scratch out the date, and they won't be able to tell whether she was mizaneh before or after the kiddushin. Before and after the kiddushin, right? If he's gonna leave the shtar by edim, so I dezechiri litnu lishod. If the edim are gonna mimaravshach, if they're gonna remember when they got married, so let the edim come and testify without, they don't need the shtar kiddushin. They'll be able to testify. Oh yeah, we were at the chuppah. We remember, or we were at the kiddushin. We were at the ma'amad kiddushin. We saw when the guy did the kiddushin. It was on this date. Let them testify without having a copy of the shtar. V'lo, and if they don't remember, so zimnin dechazu miktava v'atu masidi. Sometimes they're not going to remember what happened, and they're going to come and they're going to read their testimony from the shtar. V'rachamana amar mipiyam v'lo miktavam. And the Torah says that you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to edim have to testify from what they saw. They cannot testify from something that they read about. So if they don't remember that they saw it, and they're just reading off of the paper that the guy did the kiddushin, and they're testifying on that, that's not acceptable. So therefore, the reason that we're saying that that there's no zman on a kiddushin is because it's not going to help. Because either way, she will scratch it off or he will scratch it off. So even if you put zman, it's not going to help. So the Gemara says, Yacha begerushin nami. So if that's the case, by gerushin also, she'll scratch it off or he'll scratch it off. Well, why are you making zman on gerushin? So the Gemara says, no, there's a difference. Right? Begerushin nami nemahachi. We should say the same thing by gerushin, that one of them is going to scratch it off. So no, hatam lehatzala didakati. Over there by gerushin, the zman is really, it's taking her out of cheskat esheri, right? Hacha lechovad didakati. Over here, it's going to be a chova. Means by gerushin, so the zman is really coming to take her out of a cheskat esherish. She has a cheskat. She right now is assumed to be an esherish. The zman is going to take her out. If we don't have a zman, if she scratches off the zman, she's hurting herself, because the chazakah is that she's an esherish. So if she takes out the zman, she's
Zman is the time of the cancellation of the
of esherish, right? So exactly. So the zman is something that's good for her. Mm-hmm. If she removes the zman, so then she's that's gonna cancel. What's it called? That's gonna make her be a becheskat esherish. That's not gonna be helpful for her. But by kiddushin, she's becheskat single. And the zman is what's making her into an esherish. That's lechovat kati. So therefore, she'll scratch it off, because it's something that's going to be hurting her. And if she cancels the zman, she's going to be becheskat not esherish, and she'll get out of being the punishment. That's why by kiddushin only, we're saying it's not going to help, because she could just scratch it off. But by gerushin, she's not going to scratch it off, because it's not going to help to scratch it off. Okay, let's go further. Yeah, Mishnah. Gimel achi nisuin, gimel nochriot. So you have three brothers. I have to go very fast because I might have to go next door. Three brothers married to three random people, not sisters. Umet echad mehen. One of the brothers dies. Va'asaba hasheni ma'amar. Second brother does ma'amar. Umet, and he dies. So second brother never finished his yibum. He never did a full yibum. He just did ma'amar, and then he died. So you have two ladies falling to this third brother. One of them is the wife of his first brother, who the second brother did ma'amar to, and one of them is the wife of his second brother. So hare'elu choltzos lo mit Yevamot. In such a case, there's no yibum. He has to do chalitza. Shneimar umet echad mehen. The pasuk says met echad mehen. One of these ladies died. Yevamah yavo aleh, etc. Misha aleh zikat yavam echad. We learn from there that could only do yibum to a lady who has a zikah from one brother, meaning her husband died and she came to him. But not a lady who had a zikah to two yevamin, to two brothers. And in this situation, lady had a zikah to one brother, and then he died, and then she had a zikah to the second brother a little bit because he did ma'amar, and then he died. So it's coming from two brothers. So Rabbi Shimon Omer miyavem lezer v'shir v'choletz l'shniya. Rabbi Shimon says he could do yibum to either one and do chalitza to the other one, because Rabbi Shimon holds either ma'amar it does something or it doesn't. If ma'amar doesn't do anything, so there's no problem. They're each coming from one brother. If ma'amar does something, so then there is a problem. Because she's not coming from, right, if ma'amar does something, so then there's also no problem, because they're both coming from the second brother. It's like the second brother did yibum and he died, which is fine. So the Gemara says, "V'izika shnei yevamin deoraita." If you hold zika of shnei yevamin, this case is deoraita. Chalitza nami lo tibaya. She also should not require chalitza. So ella rather midirabanan. Rather, you have to say that this whole thing is the ptur is derabanan, because if not, then she shouldn't require chalitza either. So what's the reason for the Rabbanan? Yevamot habaod mibayit echad mit Yevamot. We're worried people are going to think if we allow this yibum to happen of one brother died, second brother did ma'amar, he died, and we allow the third brother to do yibum, so we're worried people might think that he's allowed to, when you have two Yevamot that come from the same guy, so he's allowed to do yibum. So the Gemara says, okay, so why doesn't he do yibum to one and do chalitza to the other one? So gzera shema yomru bayit echad miksato banui miksato chalutz. People will think that when you have two brothers, two ladies coming from one brother, because in this case you don't really have fully two ladies coming from one brother. One lady is coming from one brother, and one lady is coming from the first brother, but also got ma'amar from the second brother. So people might look at it as a case of two ladies coming from one brother, and they might think that in such a case you could do yibum to one and chalitza to the other one. So the Gemara says, okay, v'yomru, let them say that. Who cares? Let people think that you do chalitza to the second wife. Who cares? So the Gemara says, no. If he does yibum to the first one and then does chalitza to the second one, so then okay, that's fine. Ela gzera dilma chalitz beresha. We're worried that he maybe do chalitza in the beginning, and then he's going to do yibum afterwards. V'kam le ba'asher lo yivneh. We're worried that that he's going to first do chalitza and then do yibum to the second one, and that's not allowed, because once he does chalitza, he cannot do yibum anymore. Rachman amar kevan shelo bana shluv lo yivneh. Torah said that once he refuses to do the yibum and he does a chalitza, he's not allowed to rebuild that household. He cannot do yibum with the tzara, with the other wife anymore. Amar Rava natan get ma'amaro hutra tzarata. Rava said if a guy gives get specifically for the ma'amar, so this gets a little bit confusing. You can give get for the zika, and you can give get just for the ma'amar. So if a guy gives get just for the ma'amar, so hutra tzarata, the tzara is now allowed. Meaning the other lady is now allowed to marry this man. So the Gemara says, aval hi asura, but she is asura, the mechalfa ba'alat get, because she'll be confused with ba'alat get, meaning she received the get, she is off limits. Some say the other way around. If he gave a get to her for the ma'amar, even she is muteret. Ta'amamai David ba shakle. He undid what he did with her. Okay, we'll stop here. Maybe we'll go over the last part very quickly next time before the next amud.